Have you ever had one of those mornings where you wake up and just feel stuck? Not physically stuck, but like your body's moving slower. Your thoughts take longer to form, and everything feels just a little harder than it used to be. Maybe you brush it off, tell yourself it's just age catching up. But deep down, a little voice wonders, is it really age, or is there something else getting in the way? Asterisk now, let's be clear. Getting older doesn't mean you have to give up your independence, your strength, or your sense of freedom. Not at all. In fact, I believe those of us over 65 can live some of the most fulfilling, powerful years of our lives if we learn to avoid the silent traps that can hold us back without us even realizing it. Asterisk, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. For hidden hazards that might seem harmless, or even go completely unnoticed, but they quietly drain your energy, weaken your body, and chip away at your independence. And the good news? Once you know what they are, you can take simple, smart steps to avoid them and feel more alive, more capable, and more in control of your life. Asterisk, let's start with the first one. This is something many people don't even realize is a problem. It starts stealing their mobility, their mood, and their quality of life. Sitting too much. Asterisk now. You might think, come on, I'm retired. I've earned the right to relax. A little, and you have. Rest is important. But here's the thing. The body isn't designed to sit for hours at a time. When we do, our muscles begin to shrink, our joints stiffen, and even our heart and brain suffer from the lack of movement. Asterisk you. Know that feeling when you get up from your favorite recliner and your knees creak like an old door hinge, or when your back feels like it's stuck in one position after watching TV for a couple of hours. That's not just a sign of aging. It's your body begging for movement. Asterisk, even short bursts of movement can make a huge difference. Something as simple as standing up and stretching every half hour, walking around your home during commercial breaks, or doing light chores while listening to music can keep your blood flowing and your muscles awake. You don't have to run marathons or join a gym, just move a little more than you did yesterday. Asterisk, one woman I know, Gloria, she's 72, and she made a simple promise to herself: never sit longer than 45 minutes at a time during the day. She sets a little timer, and when it rings, she gets up, even if it's just to make a cup of tea or walk to the window and back. That tiny habit, it changed everything.
Ow.
Her balance improved, her legs got stronger, and she says she feels 10 years younger. Sometimes it really is the small things that make the biggest difference. Asterisk. Now, while physical stillness is a hazard, so is emotional isolation. This brings us to the second hidden danger: cutting yourself off socially. Asterisk, loneliness doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it just looks like silence, like sitting in a quiet room day after day, having fewer phone calls, fewer visits, fewer reasons to laugh. And after a while, that silence becomes a heavy weight. It affects your mood, your memory, even your immune system. Yes, really, loneliness can weaken your body's ability to fight off illness. It's not just an emotional issue, it's a physical one too. Asterisk, I've met people who say, I'm used to being alone. I don't mind it. And that may be true to an extent, but there's a difference between enjoying solitude and being isolated. Human connection isn't just a luxury, it's a lifeline. Asterisk, you don't have to surround yourself with a crowd. Even a few meaningful connections, a weekly phone call with a friend, attending a local book club, joining a senior walking group, can bring back a spark you didn't know you were missing. Asterisk, let me tell you about James, a retired school teacher, who found himself slipping into a routine of watching TV alone all day. His daughter noticed he seemed withdrawn, so she encouraged him to join a volunteer program reading to kids at the library once a week. At first, he resisted, said it wasn't worth the hassle, but finally he agreed to try. That 1 hour a week turned into a new purpose for him. He started smiling more. His energy came back, all because of a little human connection. Never underestimate the power of being seen, heard, and valued. Asterisk, of course, you might be thinking, That all sounds nice, but I'm not as mobile as I used to be. I can't just go out and join things, and I get that. That's why it's important to start small. Even writing letters, video chatting with family, or having a neighbor over for a cup of tea can breathe life into your days. Don't wait for others to reach out sometimes. Being the one who picks up the phone is all it takes. Asterisk, now that we've looked at physical stillness and emotional isolation, let's talk about the next silent hazard, one that hides in your kitchen, in your daily habits, and even in the labels on your food. Now that we've looked at physical stillness and emotional isolation, let's talk about the next silent hazard, one that hides in your kitchen, in your daily habits, and even in the labels on your food. I'm talking about hidden sugar and processed foods, asterisk. You might think I don't eat that many sweets, but sugar is sneaky. It shows up in places you wouldn't expect: your bread, your pasta sauce, even that so-called healthy yogurt in the fridge. And the processed foods. They're packed with preservatives, artificial flavors, and sodium that can quietly raise your blood pressure, mess with your digestion, and fog up your thinking. Asterisk, here's why this matters so much after 65. As we age, our metabolism slows down, and our body becomes more sensitive to what we eat. A bag of chips, or a sugary snack that didn't seem to cause trouble in your 40s, might now lead to swollen joints, poor sleep, or even anxiety. And here's the kicker. Too much sugar over time can dull your memory and increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, which in turn increases the risk of heart issues and dementia. Asterisk, I met a gentleman once, Frank, 69 years old. He came too. One of our wellness talks, looking frustrated. He said, I eat 3 times a day, but I feel tired all the time. My doctor says my sugar's high, and I don't even eat candy. When we looked at his diet, the truth came out: breakfast cereal with added sugar, white bread toast, store-bought soup with hidden corn syrup, and juice that was more sugar than fruit, asterisk, with just a few swaps like switching to oatmeal with cinnamon instead of sugary cereal, whole grain bread instead of white, and more fresh fruits and vegetables. Frank started to feel better. He had more energy, slept deeper, and even started walking again every morning without that heaviness in his legs. It wasn't a huge overhaul, just some simple, conscious choices. Asterisk, here's a little tip. If you can't pronounce an ingredient on the label, your body probably doesn't know what to do with it either. And if a food has more than 5 ingredients and half of them are numbers or strange chemicals, it's likely doing you more harm than good. Stick with the basics: real whole foods, things your grandmother would recognize. Fresh fruits, leafy greens, nuts, beans, eggs, lean meats, and whole grains. Asterisk, you don't have to be perfect. No one's asking you to toss everything in your pantry. But becoming more aware of what's going into your body gives you power to reduce pain, boost your mood, and stay strong and independent. Asterisk, and while we're on the subject of everyday habits that can sneakily steal your strength, let's move on to the 4th hidden hazard: neglecting mental stimulation. Asterisk, we often talk about staying physically active, but what about your mind? The brain is like a muscle. The more you challenge it, the sharper it stays. But if you stop using it, just like unused muscles, it can weaken over time. Asterisk, to many of us fall into routines that don't challenge our thinking: watching the same shows, reading the same types of articles, doing the same crossword every day. It's comforting, yes? But your brain needs variety and challenge to stay flexible and fast. Asterisk, mental dullness doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly. You might find yourself forgetting names more often, losing track of time, or struggling to find the right words, and that can be scary. 8. But the good news? Your brain has something called neuroplasticity, which means it can form new connections at any age, not just when you're young. Asterisk, take Helen, for instance. She's 74 and had never used a smartphone until last year. Her grandson gifted her one. And at first, she hated it. Said it was confusing. Too many buttons. Too fast. But her grandson insisted. So, she started learning. One step at a time. Today, she plays word puzzles on it every day, attends Zoom classes for fun, and even video chats with friends. Her memory, sharper than ever, and her confidence, through the roof. Asterisk, you don't have to learn technology if that's not your thing. But do something new. Learn a new recipe. Try painting. Read books outside your usual genre. Write a short story from your childhood. Teach someone a skill you know. Even switching up your daily walking route can stimulate your brain. Asterisk, and don't underestimate conversation. Good, meaningful conversations that go beyond small talk, talking about dreams, memories, ideas light up the brain. That's why surrounding yourself with people who challenge you in a kind way is so important. Asterisk, your mind is a treasure chest filled with decades of wisdom, experience, and creativity. But just like any treasure, if you don't open it up and use it, it gets dusty. Keep it shining. Keep learning. Keep laughing. Keep wondering. Asterisk now, if you're listening to this and thinking, but I've already let these habits in. I want to tell you something straight from the heart. It's never too late to take back control. Not at 65, not at 75, not even at 85. One small shift can lead to another. One decision to move your body a little more, to reach out to a friend, to skip that sugary snack, it starts a ripple effect. Asterisk. There's so much life left to live. So many beautiful moments waiting to be felt, seen, and remembered. But to fully enjoy them, we have to protect our foundation, our body, our heart, our mind. You deserve to wake up in the morning feeling strong, clear-headed, and ready to take on the day, not weighed down by habits that no longer serve you. Asterisk now. Having uncovered these silent hazards, the physical stillness, the quiet of isolation, the traps in our daily meals, the rust that can settle on our minds, it's time we talk about how to tie all of this together. Because knowing what to avoid is just the start. What really brings freedom and strength after 65 is the ability to replace these hidden hazards with empowering habits that support the life you truly want to live. Knowing what to avoid is a powerful first step, but the real magic happens when you start replacing those silent hazards with habits that actually support your freedom, strength, and joy every single day. Because here's the truth: life after 65 isn't meant to be a slow fade. It can be a beautiful, fulfilling chapter full of new beginnings, if we make room for them. Asterisk, let's go back for a moment. We talked about the dangers of sitting too long, about the slow isolation that sneaks in, the sugary foods that sabotage your energy, and the quiet dulling of the mind that comes when we stop learning. These things don't just happen because we're older. They happen when we stop paying attention. And when we do pay attention, when we take ownership. Even just a little bit each day, we take back the power to live on our own terms. Asterisk. And that's what this whole conversation is really about, isn't it? Living on your terms, waking up and feeling proud of the life you're creating, not just surviving from one day to the next. You deserve that. Asterisk. So what can we do about it? Let's bring it all together. Asterisk, if you found yourself sitting too much, start by adding just a bit of movement into your routine. Not because you should, but because your body wants to move. Think of it as a thank you to your legs for carrying you all these years. Simple walk to the mailbox, a few minutes of light stretching in the morning. Maybe even dancing to your favorite old song in the kitchen. These aren't workouts, they're ways of telling your body, I'm still here and I still care. Asterisk, if you've been feeling disconnected, you don't have to wait for someone to knock on your door. You have the power to reach out, send that message. Hey, make that call, invite someone over, even if it's just for coffee. You'd be surprised how many people around you feel exactly the same way, waiting for someone to break the silence. Could be the one to do it. Asterisk when it comes to food. You don't need a fancy diet or complicated plans. Just ask yourself this one question every time you eat. Is this food giving me energy or taking it away? That question alone can change how you see your plate. The moment you start fueling your body with food that energizes instead of drains you, you'll feel the difference not just in your body, but in your mood, your clarity, and your strength. Asterisk. And finally, for your beautiful mind, never stop exploring. Never stop being curious. You've spent decades gathering wisdom, going through ups and downs, learning life's hard lessons. That experience doesn't have an expiration date. It's still valuable. It still deserves to be used. Asterisk, start small. Watch a documentary about something you've never heard of. Try learning a new word every day. Write down your stories. Share them with someone younger. Take up a new hobby not to master it, but to enjoy the learning process. Let your brain stretch, and it will thank you. Asterisk, you know. One of the most inspiring women I've ever met was a 90-year-old named Ethel. She had lost her husband. Most of her close friends had passed, and her knees weren't what they used to be, but when you spoke to her, she lit up like a lamp. Why? Because every day, she gave herself a reason to stay engaged. She kept a little notebook of things she wanted to learn: birds, classical music, recipes from different countries. And every week, she picked one and dove in. She said, "If I'm still breathing, I'm still becoming." That stuck with me. Asterisk. And maybe that's what I want to pass on to you right now. You are still becoming. You're not done. You're not stuck. You're just in a chapter that needs a little extra care, a little more awareness, and a whole lot of kindness toward yourself. Asterisk. Maybe you've had some setbacks. Maybe your knees hurt. Maybe you're not as fast or as sharp or as steady as you once were. That's okay. Take away your value. It doesn't take away your right to a good life. What matters is what you do with what you can control. And you have more control than you think. Asterisk. It starts with awareness, recognizing the habits that quietly wear you down. Then it becomes action, replacing them with better choices, one by one. Not to become someone else. Not to be perfect. But to stay strong, stay free, and stay you. Asterisk. And if you're watching this right now, nodding along, maybe feeling a little emotional or hopeful, that's a beautiful thing. Because it means you're ready. It's ready to show the world and yourself that there's still fire in your heart and strength in your bones. Asterisk. So take that walk. Pick up the phone. Swap out that sugary snack for something that fuels you. Say yes to that new class, that new friend, that new chapter. And while you're at it, remind yourself every single day that you're not too old to grow, to thrive, to shine. Asterisk. We live in a world that sometimes forgets to honor its elders, that overlooks the wisdom in wrinkles and the beauty in silver hair. But not here. Not in this space. Here, we celebrate you. We believe in your ability to rise, to thrive, and to write the next part of your story with pride. Asterisk. If any of this has spoken to you today, if it stirred something in your heart or reminded you of your own strength, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Share a moment, a habit you want to change, or even a goal you're setting for yourself this week. You never know who you might inspire by speaking up. Asterisk. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more content just like this. We've got a whole community here, people just like you choosing to live strong, live free, and live fully after 65. Asterisk. Here's to you. To your energy, to your wisdom, to your beautiful, unstoppable spirit. Asterisk. Let's keep growing. Let's keep living. Let's keep shining at any age. Asterisk.